welcome to the Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up Show here tonight on a Wednesday. It's been Tuesday all week for me today anyway. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday after that long weekend and everything. Trey, I mean, I know you're kind of going through that as well, aren't you?
Okay, a couple things before we get our guest on.
Oh, here we go.
Last night, we finished our wrap-up show with Tim Shipman of Fredericksburg Heritage. And I'm like, all right, I'm helping my daughter, getting ready for bed. I get a text message, Cowboy show? I'm like, crap, it's Tuesday. I thought it was Monday, all stinking day.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then second of all, shout out to the single moms and the single dads of the world, because I'm watching my daughter by myself tonight. My wife's out of town on a retreat or whatever they can. But how they do it with 1, 2, 3 kids by themselves, I have no freaking idea because I'm struggling. I'm like anxiety and everything like that. Shout out to y'all. I'm just telling you, I don't understand how y'all do it. God bless y'all, because one night I'm like, oh my God. And then another thing is I gotta keep saying this until he gets out of the hospital. Coach Keller, man, praying for you.
Praying for you, buddy.
And I hope they get the test results that you need. We want to get you back on the radio as soon as possible. Yep. We miss you, brother. The JM Broadcasting ain't the same without you. I miss picking on you. I feel like I can't pick on you when you're in the hospital. So please get better so I can pick on you.
Absolutely. That's all you get. Now, our prayers and thoughts out to Coach Keller, man. We need him back as soon as possible. I hope everything works out. Back to your deal about, like being a single parent or whatever,
Man.
Maybe you need to go to like Mr. Intensity School.
Oh, I need to do something, dude. Like I'm calling my wife every 5 seconds. Hey, what do I do? I don't know what to do. What's she wearing tomorrow? I don't know. But man, shout out to y'all. I can't do it, but whatever.
You're all right. You'll be all right.
I will be.
Uncle JR will take care of him and help you if you need to.
Well, luckily she laid out the clothes for tomorrow morning and everything. But all I gotta do tonight is lunch, so I'm good. So I think we'll be all right.
Awesome. Well, we want to welcome this guy. Like I was saying earlier, maybe Mr. Intensity ought to take good care of you. He'll tell you something like that. This guy, man, I tell you what, when he is on it, he is on it. When he talks to his boys, they all listen. I mean, the way they and just letting them know that, hey, it's all business, but at the same time, it's all about family. Yeah, big guns, Mr. Intensity of the Fort Stockton Panthers. We want to welcome Mr. Intensity himself, Coach Jeremy Hickman of the Fort Stockton Panthers. Coach, welcome to the show, baby.
Yes, sir. JR, Trey, thank y'all so much for having me on here. It's a pleasure. I really, as I've dealt with you guys over the years, really respect what y'all do. Y'all do a tremendous job for the Hill Country kids, but also just a lot of the other schools in the state of Texas and getting those kids out there. And then, Trey's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of sports that he adds throughout the Hill Country as well. So super excited to be here, talk about our kids, talk about our program, and just excited to visit with you guys. I hadn't seen you guys in a while, so super, super excited to be here.
Coach, we're excited and super happy that you're here as well. And, this is year 2 for you at Fort Stockton. So what is different about this year than last year?
Well, we graduated 33 seniors, so the team's a little different when it comes to that. But, I think more into a rhythm. You go in your first year, being at a new school is different, as is learning. Every school is a little bit different, the way the school runs, who you talk to for certain things. So that was different, along with being in a new role as a head football coach and athletic director. That's also was different. Now going into year 2, not that you have a rhythm or that you have it figured out, because you never will, but I think you understand what's expected a little bit more. So I just think the daily routines is much more in sync that way. When it comes to our kids and our football team, I really am and really am proud on how hard we're playing. I really see us playing really, really hard this year, and it's something that we worked all off season for, to be relentless and to really get after it. So going into year 2, I see us playing really hard, and on a professional front, it's just kind of being in somewhat of a rhythm. I don't know all that's going on every time, because I don't think anybody ever does, but I think overall, that's where we're at. Just year 2 got much more traction than I did year 1.
like you said, Coach Hickman, I mean, this is your second year in Fort Stockton, your hometown, stuff like that. I mean, but basically your whole coaching career has been in the Hill Country. Is there any difference between Hill Country football and West Texas football? Is there any like difference, about the same, or is the intensity level different?
That's a great question. And I think everywhere I've been, going from the Houston area to the Hill Country area into West Texas, I think it's all pretty relative. It's very similar to what you see. I think our kids are very similar to our Kerrville kids, and they work really hard. They're blue collar. The kids, it's very important to them. It's what they do. It's what they have, and it's what the community rallies around. The football wise, I think it's all relative. You're going to see very similar offenses here and there. You're going to see similar defenses. You're going to see great athletes in the Hill Country, and you're going to see great athletes out here. So
right.
I would say, and you're being from West Texas as well, in Ozona, I would say there's not a lot of difference in terms of that. I just think it's all relative to where you're at. I think our kids are tough, and I think those kids in Kerrville are tough as well.
Coach, how about the community at Fort Stockton right now? Because it's like talking with some people, it's like, Amanda, there's a sense of pride, painting the town, getting the flags out, and when it comes to home, on your home field football, packing that house, how big is that for you and the fellas to just embrace that?
And I love all sports, but nothing brings a community together like football.
Amen.
And for some reason, and I talk to the kids about this, and I'm not really making a true comparison here, but we're kind of the last of the warriors and the gladiators. So we come together and we throw our bodies against another team, and we're going to walk out of there saying which town's tougher. Mm-hmm. So essentially, the town really rallies around that. We had a great season last year. We won 10 ball games. We got to the second round of the playoffs, won a huge bi-district game against Perrington. The 10 ball games we won has only happened one other time in school history in 1978. And so the community has really rallied around our kids, has rallied around our program. We packed the house last week in our first home game, and I'm fully expecting that again this week. But our community's been great. They're super supportive. And I think there is a sense of pride. And me being from here, it's important to me, and the community understands that. I want our kids to represent our community the right way, and when we step on the field, and that's being tough, physical, and just getting after it.
Yeah.
Coach, I want to talk about your players a little bit, especially your running backs, Corbin Luna and Isaiah I cannot talk tonight.
Velasquez.
Yes, Velasquez.
Yeah. We just call him IV.
There you go, IV. That's perfect.
That.
I just want to talk about their leadership, the returning. They're going to be key contributors to your team this year, and as already as starting 2-0 this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Corbin has been on varsity for 4 years. He is a really good football player, and he's kind of last year he was a big part of what we did, but we had a couple of other running backs as well. But this year, he's the bell cow when it comes to our running back position. Isaiah is a different back. Corbin's a power back, and Isaiah is more of a speed slasher guy. But I'll tell you, this year Isaiah's been really different running the football. He's been very powerful and running through tackles and not necessarily running around them. He's going through people. So it's been fun to watch those two guys make it work. We've got a good 1-2 punch back there with those guys. Isaiah plays a lot of defense. He starts at safety / outside linebacker for us as well. So those guys have really made an impact on our team so far this year as well. And another one I just want to throw out there, our offensive line. We've got another kid named Julian Leyva, who is a big leader for us. Not vocally, but the way he goes about and handles his business. He had a great game against El Paso Austin. He had a great game last week, and he's really the guy that kind of sets the tone for us up front. And again, another kid that's been on varsity for 4 years, and Julian does a tremendous job for us as well. So those on offense, we've got some leaders there, and those guys have really, with 33 seniors graduating now, they're put into that leadership position. And they're learning on the fly, and it's coming through each game and each week.
Coach, with those guys and being the leaders of your team, how important is it for you just to kind of sit back a little bit and then just let their leadership develop the youngins? I mean, because the youngers are coming up and they may have been on JV last year, they may be first time varsity, but you've got to have those voices that's not your voice or your coaches.
Exactly right. Those guys have to be an extension of our coaches and our vision and our the things that we talk about. And as a program, you want the leadership to come from the locker room. Essentially, whenever everything gets moving the right way, your locker room, it leads itself. And those guys are again transitioning into that role. And I think they've done a good job. Do I think it was an easy transition for them? No, especially we've had some strong leaders graduate the last couple of years. Dominic Aguilar we had, which y'all show is picture number 21, tremendous leader for us. Last year we had a kid named Darren Ureste and Cruz Rojas, very good leaders for us. And those guys that we've mentioned today, along with Marco Garcia, our quarterback, have now transitioned into that. And I will tell you, it's not easy being a leader. It's not easy talking to your teammates about that. But I have seen over the last couple of weeks, those guys really step up and say, hey, this is not how we do things. This is how it's going to operate, or in the locker room, like get things moving in the right direction at halftime or whatever that situation is. But you hit the nail on the head, and the coaches talk and they hear us talk all the time, but it really means a lot to the kids when it's player led. And that's something that we talk about, but it's really something that has to happen. Those guys just have to own it and make it happen.
Coach, I want to talk about your district a little bit. I mean, Monahans, Pecos, Clinton Mountain, and those are all tough schools and everything. But what is it going to take to dethrone Monahans? I mean, my ex football coach, wide receiver coach from White Deer, his son's actually a coach over there at Monahans, offensive coordinator, I think.
Awesome.
Swarb.
Yeah.
What is it going to take to dethrone Monahan to win undefeated this year? And what kind of style play is it going to take to dethrone them and be district champions this year?
Well, it's no secret that the Fort Stockton Monahans game is a big game, and that's every year. That's every year. It's the same for us playing Pecos. Those are those like y'all are dealing with right now. That's the Tybee Fred, the Tybee Fred, rivalry. That's the Tybee champion rivalry. Those are similar situations there. When it comes down to Monahans, respect Monahans to no end. Grew up playing them. We had some great football players come through. They're a great football program. On our end of it, we've got to do what the Panthers do. We've got to go out there and we've got to be able to control the ball or control the clock when we need to. We've got to get some big stops. They've got a super, super good player, Chino Navarrete, their quarterback. He's been a 4-year starter for them as well. And he's a difference maker. Chino is a great kid. I love watching his interviews, love watching him play basketball. Just a super competitive kid. And they lean on him. And so in those crucial times, in those games, we've got to be able to come up with the stops in those situations. And that's exactly what didn't happen last year. Chino did a good job against us in those crucial moments of the game. And this year's going to be no different. I can assure you it's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down to a turnover here or there and a mistake here or there. There's not a doubt about it. No matter what the first half looks like, it's going to be a fight all the way to the end, and that's just the way it's going to be. In order for us to dethrone those guys, we got to play our football game, and we've got to believe in ourselves no matter what happens.
Sounds like you might have an insight, though. I mean, Trey might be able to get you, help you get some stuff on them or whatever.
I wrote that note.
You said.
Trey, secretly reach out to Coach Swarb and see what's going on over there.
Dude, he's a quiet kid. He's a better golfer than he is a football coach. I love you, Swarb, but his main thing is golf. But
I think he does coach golf for him as well.
Yes, he does. A state championship golf team. But, man, his dad was my wide receiver coach over there in White Deer when I played 2 years. Yeah. And, like, growing up, because he was always my, like we always had those, like, mentors. Like, I was his mentor, basically.
That's awesome.
And just watching him grow up and see what he's doing now, it's just amazing to see. And then seeing him play y'all, I was praying. I knew we were going to have a Fort Stockton game this year. I was hoping it would be the Monahans game. But JR wants to do this non-district game. But whatever, JR, go ahead.
No, it's a good one either way. But the game y'all are coming to is going to be great. It's a good 5A school with a lot of athletes. So it's not gonna rival the rivalry of Fort Stockton and Monahans or Fort Stockton and Pecos, but it's going to be a good game to watch and commentate on.
All right, guys, I got to do this. If I don't do this, I get in trouble, and I don't want to get in trouble, so I have to do it now. And so I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by First Insurance Agency of the Hill Country, firstinsagency.com. Now, this is no joke, and I am telling you the absolute truth. Let me just do this. I'm telling you the absolute truth. These guys save Hill Country Nation $325 a month on auto insurance and beyond. No joke. I just reached out to Mark Justice over there at First Insurance Agency of the Hill Country. Said, Mark, hey, look, what can you do for me? This is my plan that I have. This is what I'm paying on. Boom, $325 later. That's saving me money. First INS Agency of the Hill Country. Just give them a call, give them a shout, maybe even just give them online. Tell Mark Justice you heard about him here on the Hill Country Nation Sports Wrap-Up Show, and you may or may not get a free pin. All right, Coach, it comes down to this, 2-0, and you had Thursday nights. You going out to do these games. You got Friday and stuff like that. But what's your situation when it comes to game time? I mean, you have like lunchtime, same sandwich. Desi makes you the same lunch as you're on the winning streak. You eat the same food. What do you do that's exactly the same every Friday on your win streak?
Every Friday is arm day. Essentially, we're going to get an arm workout in the morning. Aside from that, I don't get superstitious like that. There's a couple of things that we want to happen, but the lunch or the pregame meal or anything like that doesn't happen. I do need to have my Rockstar energy drink for just so that I can make sure that my intensity is channeled the right way. But other than that, it's getting my workout in the morning, kind of having time to myself. When it comes to that, and then just going through my regular routine of thinking through the game, thinking through situations, looking over to make sure we got everything covered and all of that. But
last year you said you would wear the same socks.
I did. There's been some years that's happened, and but this year, even last year, I got to where I just didn't worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Even a few years in Tybee, there was a pair of boxers that I wore every day. As bad as that sounds, got to that. But this year, there's so much going on, and even last year, just so much going on that we focus on the important things of that's not going to cost win or lose a game for us. What's going to win or lose a game for us is our preparation and our work each week.
JR asked these questions about superstition. I know coaches aren't superstitious. I
years. I'm telling you, there's been years where you do that.
Come on.
That we walk those Under Armour socks.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to know more about your team and more about the scheduling and stuff like that. I know this year in February is redistricting and stuff like that. And I don't know how much you had coming. This is your second year. I don't know how much you have planned in the scheduling for these 2 years, whatever. But what is your mindset going into next year with scheduling for Stockton Panthers? You want to play bigger schools, or you want to keep the same, like 5A, and then you play at Crane and stuff like that for smaller schools? What's your mindset on that?
The redistricting, as you guys know, y'all been in this a long time, that you never know what the UL is going to do.
Exactly.
We always have a kind of idea, but there's going to be a curveball when it comes to that. When it comes to our schedule next year, we've got a couple of things penciled in. Like we're going over to San Angelo. We're going to play San Angelo Lakeview week 1. So we've got that into play. We've got a penciled in game with Midland Greenwood. So
good one.
Working on Midland Greenwood, Big Spring. So a couple of other little looks there, but we're also still slated to play Alpine, and we're still working on that 4th and 5th game as well.
What about like Kerrville Tybee, meet halfway? Wouldn't that be something?
We're going to meet halfway between here and Fort Stockton.
San Angelo? I mean,
you're going to meet.
San Angelo's not too bad. That's 2.5 hours for both of us. So
yeah, there you go. See?
But hey, really, speaking of Tybee, a huge shout out to the Antlers and a huge win against Davenport last week.
Yeah.
Kudos to Coach Jones, Coach Kabachok, and Coach Gallifero and his staff for doing a great job. Coach Gallifero running the defense, tremendous night for them. And then, the offense, those guys getting the job done and winning the game that, people didn't think they would, and they won it pretty handily. So super big shout out to Coach Jones. Always want to give Coach Jones a shout out. I wouldn't be sitting where I'm at without him. Worked 15 years together and has been a very big mentor in my life, but very proud of the Antlers and what they did last week. And I know the town is excited, and they should be. They're 2-0 as well, and hopefully it gets rolling.
Yeah, I got Fred this week. We'll see what happens. That's a big rival right there.
You can't beat a Tybee Fred game. That is there. The only one that can beat it is the Stockton Monahans.
Yeah, that's it. Coach, you would think that, you're scheduling up for next year with these pencil ins and stuff. Are those teams that you are wanting to play because of the intensity and where those guys go every year, the playoffs and stuff, to get you prepared for district play?
Yes, all of them are bigger teams. And so they're bigger schools, bigger teams. And so trying to find, we want to play the best we can in our area that are not in our district and see different offenses. When we're looking at a schedule, you want to see a selection of offenses and a selection of defenses and style of play so that you're ready for district when it comes to play. And those aren't going to be easy games. They're going to be tough games, and we're going to have to get prepared for those, to be successful. And we're going to have a lot of work to do when it comes to that. But again, putting the schedule together, there's a lot of dynamics to that. And, looking at it, we want to play the best we can to get ourselves ready for district.
There's a couple questions I want to ask you. I don't know how long JR is going to go, so I just want to – JR can talk forever. Last year, you had a great season your first year. You went to, I think, the area round. You beat Perryton by district round. Is there, a mindset, when you do make playoffs, especially in the first talk, because you're basically in the middle of nowhere. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. Middle of nowhere, you're halfway, El Paso and then San Angelo and stuff like that. Is it difficult because your district that you play in the playoffs is going to be District 2, which is basically the Panhandle district? Right. Is it harder what's the word I'm looking for? Is it harder to
find neutral sites
and stuff? I know I don't know who it was last year, but they actually played in New Mexico because there was an El Paso team and a Panhandle team.
District that was Seminole and Mountain View.
They put it in Artesia, New Mexico.
Yeah. And what a great stadium that was. And you bring up a great point. And again, it goes back down to the UIL districting. We're paired up with District 2 over there, and we played Perryton, who's about 30-something miles away from Kansas.
Yes,
so you're right. An 8.5-hour trip between us, and we're having to find a place to play. And between us and Lubbock, between us and Perryton, Lubbock's right there. We chose Post because they've got a great facility there, and it's kind of and it was really pretty much halfway for both of our communities to get there. But it does create an issue. We played Glen Rose in the second round, who was a tremendous team, had a tremendous year, should have beat Carthage in that semifinal game as well. But we ended up playing them in San Angelo at San Angelo Stadium, and it was tremendous. That was a good 3-hour trip for them, 3-hour trip for us. But it does get far when you're out here in West Texas. There's no doubt about it, especially in the playoffs, because the 4A level, it's just there's a distance between us and the other town. But I will gladly take getting neutral site after neutral site after neutral site, and I will play anywhere. We get to the third round, send us to Dallas. It doesn't matter to us. We will find a place to play, and the Panthers will be ready when we get to that third or fourth round.
We talked earlier about how football is what's bringing the community together and things like that. But you got more than that when it comes to, your volleyball team is rolling. You've got your cross country that's been building back up when it comes to tennis and these different sports. But not only that, some of these guys they're in the band, they're in one act play. How important is it for your guys on the football squad to go and support not only the other sports, baseball, softball, basketball, but also one act and band?
It's very important. Our band does a tremendous job. Dr. McSpirit, our band director, does a tremendous job getting his team ready to perform. They put a lot of hours in, and that's one thing that some people don't understand. Band, those guys are out there all day in the heat, marching all summer, and those guys do it. So when we do have a marching contest in Fort Stockton coming up, a big West Texas thing. So fully plan on supporting them over that weekend, that September 23rd, I believe, or whatever weekend. As well, and our kids, we do have a few kids that play in the band. We had a few more last year, the seniors that graduated. We have kids that are in the choir. We have kids that are in a lot of UIL academics, and I think it's important as an athletic program to share athletes all over the place. And also from an athletic standpoint, the community and the school supports us so much, so we've got to do our part to try our best and support them when we can. And As you mentioned, our volleyball team has really, really done well this year. They're playing a lot of 6A schools. They've got 5 6A schools in a row that they're working on, playing to get ready for district as well. But Coach TM from Bernie Champion, we hired her, and she's done a tremendous job up here with our girls as well. Very excited about that. Cross country, our girls cross country team has done really well. Boys are growing. Our tennis team has done really well this fall, for fall tennis. Excited about that as well, and super excited about our basketball teams, both boys and girls, softball and baseball this year. Very, very strong softball program here, so I'm excited for that as well.
Oh man, there's so many questions I want to ask you.
Hey, well, ask away, baby. Come on,
sir. I'm here for you.
Well, okay. I know how big you are in fitness and health and nutrition and all that. But we were just talking on. They just built an Allsup's next to your stadium. How hard is it to lay off those burritos, man?
Well, some days are easier than others. Some days are harder than others.
Yes,
I would say Saturdays would be a hard day to lay off of it when you drive by there. Allsup's, you can see it from our stadium. Man. So you're right. You can't beat an Allsup's burrito.
Oh no,
on a Saturday.
Oh, so good.
But it depends on where I'm at right now, in my eating habits.
They wrote a song about it. Let's just say it like that.
Trey, as soon as Trey gets off I-10, it's going to be right there on his left.
I'm telling JR, as soon as I don't care where we're eating, we're stopping at Allsup's and I'm getting 5 burritos. Oh my God, they're so freaking good.
He already has it in the doggone Maps app already. So.
I already do. Hickman already told me exactly where it's at.
Yeah. Coach, you got to have you as our Hill Country Nation game of the week against the El Paso Horizon Scorpions. We looked at it like, you were an encourager for us because, just to branch out. And that's kind of what you do for these kids and the students and their players and stuff is how you're an encourager. They call you Mr. Intensity, but just the way that you encourage. And so we want to thank you because we are actually going to Fort Stockton for the Hill Country Nation game of the week between you guys and El Paso.
Couldn't be more excited to have y'all. Like you said, when we got the job, you made a promise. You said, I'm going to go out and do one of your games and you're a man of your word to come out and do one of our games for our kids. And what I'm excited about is for the Hill Country, San Antonio area and everywhere in between to see our kids and what we have to offer as well. We again, as Trey's mentioned, it is far out here. Not as far as you think. It's 3 hours from Kerrville. So set your speed. If you set
80 miles an hour down that Interstate 10.
Right.
JR was like, "Yeah, we got to beat traffic." I'm like, "There's no traffic."
Ain't no traffic.
Don't say that, Coach. We're leaving at noon.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for you guys to showcase our kids, our facilities. We've got top-notch facilities, and we're gonna do our best to play Panther football for you guys. Tough, hard-nosed football against a quality 5A opponent that's got athletes, that they're 1-1, and the game they lost could have gone either way as well. So they present some issues for us, and we're gonna have to show up ready to play.
Yeah, you're talking about that game against Friday night, 5A school. They're pretty much a defensive team, and they only average 15 points a game. They're not giving up much. They're 1-1 on the season, but you're also a defensive team. Can you guarantee me we're going to have more than under 48 points in this game?
I can't guarantee you any of that. I don't have, you never know how the ball bounces. It's not round, so you never know how it bounces. I sure hope on our end of it that we're able to flash our lights quite a bit. Or we've got the flashing lights, and I want them to be flashing. That means we're scoring some points.
Good.
Yeah, your defense, 13 points week 1, 7. You average that out, it's like the defense pretty tough this year.
Yeah, we're young, and they're getting better and better each week. And again, as we go on the season, we're going into week 3. We've got a long way to go. So we're hoping to see some growth on both sides of the ball this week.
Coach, how important is it for your coaches? Because, you're as an athletic director, you not only responsibility for football and bringing that because you're the head coach and stuff. And I know it takes a little bit out of you for the defensive side and things, but for you to lean on your brothers, your coaches, becoming tight-knit, how important, give them a shout out just, and everything, but what their roles are and how important it is for you, so you can just do your job because they're doing their job?
Every successful coach or every successful leader has people that he works with or she works with that make it happen. And coaching is no different. There's no way that a head coach could do everything that it takes to be successful each night. On our end, my assistant head coach, Jet Norman, he's also our offensive coordinator. Very, very important to our program on running that side of the ball. While I'm focused on the defensive side, or our defensive coordinator, Zach Bragg, who comes to us from San Antonio Piper, to work, allowing me to move over to watch some offensive stuff while he's working the defense. So there's a lot to that. And those guys, there's a lot on their plate as well, along with their staff. We hired Chase Brown this year, a Tybee grad, who coached with me at Canyon over there. And now he's our special teams coordinator here. So the special team stuff's put on him as well. We kind of share that throughout our staff. The offensive side helps with some of it, and the defensive side helps with some of it. But Coach Brown has done a tremendous job with our special teams. We've got a lot of good coaches on staff. Matt Villanueva is one of our offensive guys that we really lean on. Ivan Pena, our offensive line coach. And we've got some really good players. Chase is coaching the linebackers as well. Got a coach, Coach Vic Ivey, who's been he's a Fort Stockton grad as well, but he's been here. I think this is year 49 or 50 for him. Yeah. Wow. And he still coaches his tail off for our kids every day as well. So we've got a lot of good coaches to go along with it, to go along with our staff. On the defensive side, we got Jason Pena coaching the secondary, or Jason Payne, coaching the secondary. We've got Jonathan Barrow coaching the defensive line as well. And we've got Humberto Renteria helping on the offensive line, Richard Rojas coaching our running backs, Jason Jacobs helping with our outside receivers, Lee Daggett helping with our freshmen. And we've got just a good quality staff of guys that are working really hard for our kids. And there's no doubt about it that this wheel would not turn without those guys. And there's no way that the stuff that happens could happen without each of us doing our part. And those guys have a tremendous amount on their plate, and they do a lot of work for us. And we would not be where we're at without those coaches.
All right, Coach, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. I know you don't like bragging about yourself, but I want to know, from year one to year two, what are you most proud of seeing your team achieve, and what are you most excited about coming in the future of the Panthers of Fort Stockton?
The mental toughness, the way the kids practice, the effort, that's the high effort, the stuff that I really feel is important, the overachieving aspect, the continuously working to get better. I've seen that, and I really have recognized that these kids are hungry to try to get better. That doesn't mean that they don't need to be motivated every now and then. That does not mean that. But the growth of our team really playing hard, really working hard has been inspiring to see that. So I'm very proud of our program, getting these kids to really, really push themselves and maximize themselves. There's so much talent here. We just have to keep building that. And then, like I said, mental toughness, and then those guys believing in themselves in times of duress. That's why we call ourselves Team Never Quit. We're never going to quit, and we're going to keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting until it's done. We're going to play as hard as we can for as long as it takes. And these guys have worked throughout the offseason doing that, and worked throughout our season really, really working hard. And then the mental toughness, I'm really, really proud of that.
We got time for 3 more questions, and I got like 4 or 5 of them. But so if Trey is not going to ask it, I'm going to ask it.
Go ahead. I knew you were going to steal it. That's why I asked the other questions.
Or you want to ask the other question?
No, go ahead. I got more. Go.
Oh, good. What is one of Coach Hickman's pet peeves? I mean, what gets under your skin when you're coaching and things, but what gets under your skin? What is one of your pet peeves?
Lack of effort. You control that. You control how hard you practice.
Right.
If we don't give lack of effort, or if we don't give our best effort, if there is a lack of effort, there will be nothing that irks me more than anything than a kid or a coach or anybody in life that just not working as hard as they can. And again, that's not every second of every day, but when we're on a task, we need to be giving our best effort. We need to be giving our very best effort in anything that we do. So my pet peeve would be, I don't want to say being lazy, but not maximizing yourself every time you have a chance, like not giving your best effort and not pushing yourself to be your best.
Coach, knowing you for a couple of years now and your wife and everything like that and your daughters, through social media and stuff, how big is family? Like, it's coaching during football season for 10, 12, 13 weeks, whatever the case may be. How big, what is it, how hard is it to find family time and talk about your wives and everything, how they support y'all and your kids? Because it's a full-time job being a head football coach and AD. When do you find that family time to balance out and make your significant other happy and stuff like that?
It's tough. And being a coach's wife's tough. Being a coach's family's tough. And they sacrifice so much for us to do what we love to do. They sacrifice us. They sacrifice for us to give all of us to other people's kids.
Right.
In reality, that's what we do every day is we're giving everything we have for our community's kids. And so that it's very, very tough. My wife and daughters, I'm very blessed with them. And my wife and I have been together for over 25 years. We've been married 23 years. So she has seen me as a high school player, a high school coach. A high school player, a college player, a college coach, a high school coordinator into a head coach. So we've kind of grown through this together. So she gets it for the most part. My daughters, again, they that's all they've ever known. But I think you have to be intentional with your time. We don't work here on Sundays.
Good.
We work all day Saturday, and our day with our families are Sundays.
Good.
So we try to be intentional with that, spending those days together, and doing that during the season. Because football season, again, it can be a 7-day-a-week job.
Yeah.
And I have to make sure that on my end of it, when I'm with her, or on those Sundays, that I'm really focused on that and not letting my mind get off to our job, which happens. And she knows that, and I try my best not to do that. My daughters, as you know, Trey, you were talking about beforehand, you got your daughter and she's young and she needs you, as they get older, they get to up to middle school, you get to spend a lot of time when they get to middle school, you'll spend a little less time with them. They get to high school, a little less time with them.
Right.
Well, my daughters are done with college. So now they live in New Braunfels. So my time with them is very minimal at this point in time in our life. My youngest daughter's birthday is tomorrow. So shout out to Alyssa. Happy birthday to her tomorrow. But they are coming to Friday's game. So I have not seen them since July. Nice. They're coming to the game on Friday. So I'm super excited for them to be here. So we'll work on Friday and Saturday and hopefully be able to spend some time together. But it is hard, Trey. And it's not easy being a coach's family. It is not. It's very, very hard.
One last question.
You bet.
What makes Coach Jeremy Hickman Coach Jeremy Hickman?
That's tough, I'd like to thank God for just giving me the ability to persevere and really bless me with things that I have, that I'm able to speak and I'm able to work the way that I do. I know that's a blessing. My granddad was a head football coach growing up, and he was very hard on us, expected a lot from us. When I remember when I told him I was going to play football, he said, "That's good, but you understand that football is a tough sport for tough people." And so that mindset was with me for the longest time. My wife and kids have also been a huge part of helping me develop as a person and helping, see things from different perspectives and go from there. But I can't say one thing or another because, like I said earlier, Coach Jones has a huge impact on my career. Coach Travis Bush, who I worked for in New Braunfels, who's the head coach at UT Rio Grande Valley, a huge impact on me in a short amount of time. But there's so much that goes into that question. But I think really it's just a desire inside of you to be your best every day. And my love for kids and the kids that I coach, I love those guys and girls as well with all I have. And so my inspiration really comes from our kids. And I love those guys, and they motivate me to be my best.
That's awesome, Coach.
Well, apparently your wife thinks the same way, because she's like passion, hard work, and love for football, and most importantly, love for kids.
I love kids. I really, really do. And I think the platform of a coach can really impact or change the trajectory of a kid's life. And I think all of us as coaches need to understand that.
Amen. I agree with you 100%, Coach.
Coach, as always, we appreciate it. One last word from you.
Panthers fight. We'll always compete, and we're never going to quit.
And your motto?
That's it. Panthers fight.
Boom.
Hashtag Panthers fight, baby. Follow them on Twitter.
Right.
Just like the Panthers at Twitter or X.
Never quit. We never quit.
Coach Hickman, we appreciate you so much for joining us on the show tonight. We look forward to seeing you on Friday.
We'll see y'all.
We're going to stop at Allsup before we try to head over to Bob's, if we can meet y'all over there or something. I don't know.
Man, appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, you have an extra time just to hang out. If not, we'll see you on Friday. I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight on the Hill Country Sports Wrap-Up Show Wednesday. Now, we won't be on tomorrow, and we'll be in Fort Stockton on Friday with the El Paso Horizon Scorpions at the Fort Stockton Panthers. And then next week, it starts all over again. But without you guys, we wouldn't be here. We appreciate y'all so much. And for Trey Collis, hey, like we said, Coach Keller, get better, man. We want to see your butt out of that bed. All right, for Trey Collis, I'm J.R. Alexander saying so long. See you later. We love you, and I am out of here.